Garoppolo. Thrown down. Brian Burns gets there. Spider-Man. What a pass rush by Burns. See how quickly he got to the edge and got
This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav and Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you Bleav? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcast on Twitter. And welcome into a brand new edition of the Bleav and Carolina Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by Sports Illustrated All Panthers beat writer Schuyler, Callihan, and Panthers all-time leading rusher Jonathan Stewart. I'm sorry, our things are all over the place. I just realized.
I'm the all-time leading rusher.
You can catch us throughout the season and the offseason, giving you news and notes on the Carolina Panthers here on the Bleav Podcast Networks. We came in with some heat today to be a kind of a quicker episode, but we got some stuff to touch on. Folks trying to put the pause on Cam Newton. We're going to lead off with that. I don't understand the logic. I don't understand what they thought was going to happen, but we'll get to that just a bit. Stu has some thoughts on what he saw there. And for those that don't know, I thought those were kids that were trying to, like teenagers, are trying to attack him. Those were grown men, like trying to fight him at a 7-on-7 tournament. And there's some kind of backstory behind it, so we'll get into all that as well. Julius Peppers, we didn't get a chance to address the fact that our very own Julius Peppers, first ballot Hall of Famer. So we'll talk about Julius Peppers and where we feel like he ranks overall. I'm sure he's going to make this Ultimate 53 roster. And speaking of which, the Ultimate 53 has begun. If you haven't seen it already, go over to our Twitter at Bleav and Panthers. You can vote. Right now, quarterback and head coach are the two that are still live, and we'll have those. We'll put those in before the end of this episode. The quarterback one pretty much is kind of a runaway. I was going to take the top two voters on that. And then right now, you can actually go over there right now and help out. The one that's pinned to the top is for head coach. It's Dom Capers, John Fox, Ron Rivera, and Matt Rule. You've got, it says 3 hours left, but we're going to end it here when the show ends. Whoever's leading there will be the head coach of the Ultimate 53. Fellas, what's going on? How y'all doing?
Great. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm having some technical difficulties over here with this doggone mic.
It is going in and out. It's kind of.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah. So actually, you can come up a little bit, but I know we all saw this and talked about it in our group text over the weekend. I guess it was Sunday when it happened. The Cam Newton situation. Actually, before we even do that, because I was about to wait till the 50-minute mark to read it. Let me get the Bet Online read in here real quick. And actually, I have two now. They gave me another one. And I'll put that in a little bit later. Bet Online continues to be your #1 source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, trends, you can follow your favorite teams' path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile device. Head to Bet Online today to become part of the team, and remember to use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here, and where we'll start is the situation with former Panther quarterback Cam Newton at a 7-on-7 tournament. I Bleav he was hosting, and from my understanding, the altercation occurred with two coaches that used to work with Cam or something and were released for whatever reasons, and I guess had a bone to pick with him. The one dude tried to sneak him, and we were talking off camera. I've never seen grown adults look so little in my life. Like he had one dude in a headlock, and the other guy, he had him by like his hair or something, and he wasn't even fighting him. Like he wasn't even swinging. He was just tossing these dudes around like rat dolls. He's 6'5", 270. Like he was looking for linebackers to hit for a living, and y'all went and tried to fight Cam Newton. I'm gonna give the floor up to Jonathan Stewart for a second so he can just get this off his chest. Because
first of all, if y'all haven't seen Cam Newton in person, like if you seen Cam Newton in person, you ever like walked in a forest and you see a big tree and it's just like, man, that's majestic.
Yeah,
it's a big old tree. Like Like, you see the roots and how they just like go into the ground, and like there's no way that you can move that tree.
That's
and
Cam.
Like
that's Cam.
You just can't. And so like that's Cam.
Yeah.
So he's 6'5", probably 250, probably 260. Is he ain't he doing
I said
podcasts
270,
and stuff
yeah.
right now. Maybe 270.
Might be
Being fair, 250, 260. But listen to me, fellas. God spent a lot more time on this individual than any other person that you are ever going to meet. Okay,
no tea.
Like, listen, there's no like question about it. Joy Taylor, I don't know if y'all follow her, and
Oh yeah, from
Colin Coward.
But but she basically said these guys were conveyor belts. Man, when I heard that, I just about fell out my seat. But you dealing with a Tonka truck here, man.
Yeah, what you do?
You over here driving your Mazda up to the 7-on-7, the Miata, the little drop top up to the camp. And you thinking you about to brawl with Cam Newton? First of all, he's MVP. He's a Heisman, National College Football champion.
Yep.
Okay, like this man has changed the culture of football, art, like in the sense of what we doing about our brand. I mean, like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like, and the thing is, man, what's crazy is, I look back and I like think about guys like when I grew up. And Ricky Waters. I'm actually kind of like looking at Ricky Waters in a different light because there was a situation where I went to the Kingdom where the Seahawks used to play, and Ricky Waters was one of my favorite running backs, and I got a chance to wave him down, and I waved him down, but he just kind of looked at me and he just kept walking away, and I'm like, dang, man, that left it's a triggering subject up until now.
Never meet your heroes.
I'm thinking to myself, maybe he had an encounter with a parent or a kid or whatever that kind of made him salty for the rest of his life. And I was, I had to deal with that outcome as a kid, you know what I'm saying? And let the sour taste in my mouth. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, man, you got a guy like Cam Newton coming to your city and pouring into this community. Do not let him leave with a bad taste in his mouth.
Right.
People in the community, the coaching community. I mean, these are coaches trying to jump Cam Newton because they feel some type of way about Cam Newton. Like, oh, you think you better than Cam Newton? You think, I don't care if you might be the reigning coach of Atlanta. You are not better than Cam Newton because at the end of the game, the objective is to play football and to win football games. He's won more games than you have that you'll ever see. He is untouchable. And that's one of the problems that I have right now, too, because social media has basically allowed people to think that everyone's touchable. Like the entitlement of being able to like come up on people and say, hey, yo, what's up, Cam? No, Cam, what? Listen, these kids be out of line. Parents, grab your kids, put them in a headlock when they talk crazy. I don't care.
Put them in that Cam Newton.
Put them in that Cam Newton. Put your paws on your kids when they are out of line, talking out of line to adults, man. Like at the end of the day, Cam Newton is an adult. What are we doing here? Coaches, y'all right now in a coaching community, this is your peer at the end of the day.
Yep. You
putting paws on peers now? So now what? So you about to go back and coach next week? Your players are supposed to respect you after all of that? Like, yo, coach, you got dogged. Both of y'all got dogged.
Like you got a headlock this weekend,
like,
coach.
You want me to go and you want me to have heart and go out there and man up? Man, you got dogged. You got dogged on worldwide front seat viewership.
You tried to sneak Cam Newton and failed.
And failed
miserably. He threw you off the stage.
And then one of the other things, man, is where is the security?
Yes, that's what I was asking you over the weekend. I'm like, yo, how did
they ran?
Bro,
I
was so hot when I saw this happen, bro. Like I legitimately, because I was there, obviously we have scuffles in practice and whatnot, but like my innate, like within like the, I don't know what you call it. My first response when I saw this happen,
your
I
instinct.
felt like I needed to get in the car and go somewhere and like go see where he was at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like it's like, yo, don't be jumping on my quarterback. Like,
Yeah.
he's still my, like, how I view this after seeing this, and my response and my reaction is like, that's my quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, what y'all doing to my quarterback? Why is nobody helping my quarterback? And so, like,
man.
but he obviously didn't need any help because he manhandled these little boys, grown men acting like little boys.
Yeah. And they're out here on social media too, like talking about, like, they're getting interviewed and they're all like, one of them's kind of standing up like he feels like he did something, like, I'm just showing y'all your Atlanta quarterback ain't nothing and all this stuff. And I'm seeing these little clips come out and I'm like, did they do this for the clout? Because I don't think this is working out the way they thought it would, because they're getting clowned, they're getting dragged on the internet. So I don't know. Cam needs like a Big Joe or something like that. That's 6'8", 6'9", 300.
He is Big Joe.
Pounds. Yeah, he is Big Joe.
But he needs to
Cam might be his own best security at this point.
He might be. Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna run up on him anytime soon.
He may have just got himself a security job somewhere.
Nah, he don't need no job. He's doing just fine. But listen, kids, listen. Social media, don't be fooled. It's real out here. You approach the wrong people.
Yep.
You're gonna get the wrong results if you don't come correct. And I remember one time, man, I was at a football game with Kenny Moore and Steve Smith, my rookie year, and a young kid came up and said, "Hey, yo, Smitty. Hey, yo, Smitty. Hey, yo, Smitty." Steve Smith eventually looked back and said, "Excuse me, young man, don't you see three grown men talking?" And like, that's exactly what needs to be done in a lot of situations like this right now.
There's no manners anymore.
Like there's no manners, there's no respect.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, look, young kid, young sir, how about you wait your turn and you say, "Hey, Mr. Smith, hey, Mr. Newton, hey, Coach Newton, thank you for your time. I understand that you talk smack just like I talk smack. And so I'm going to have to live with the results if I lose in a talking smack contest with you. And I'm going to lose in this 7-on-7 tournament against you." Like,
I completely
whatever
forgot.
it is, deal with it.
You just reminded me. You just reminded me of that from, what was it, a couple years back? Some kid was talking smack to Cam back and forth at a 7-on-7, and Cam wasn't taking the bait. Yeah, right. And it ended up Cam ended up emerging out of that bigger. And a coach friend of mine told me, you know how many probably looks that kid lost because of the way he talked to Cam Newton on that video, and it went viral. Like, if he was going to be anything in football, we ain't gonna never know, because no coach is gonna touch him now.
Yeah, you're a great bad trash talker. That's what
good job.
That's what your label is, buddy. I mean, all the coaches out there that think they can like man up and, you know, line up against Cam Newton in a fight. Listen, go somewhere else and fight somebody else.
Yeah, rethink it.
Like right now, like those two cats, man, coaching wise, I don't want you around. I don't want you even in my town. You are an embarrassment to football right now. These young dudes out here trying to coach are an embarrassment to football. And like, you got a guy that's going into communities and changing communities and giving guys an opportunity, young kids an opportunity to showcase their talents on a larger scale, on a larger platform, because of Cam Newton, Superman, Super Bowl or MVP, national championship, Heisman winner, like
that dude,
Superman. 6'5", 270.
Killer.
Dragging the Atlanta Falcons on 4th and 1 and reaching over.
That dude. That's the dude you try to hit. That guy.
Dragging grown men.
Drug 8 Falcons to the first throw. Somebody's trying to knock out Cam Newton. I'm just like, you know, another thing too, somebody pointed out to me before we move on, the disrespect level towards Cam Newton has come back to roost, because people are asking, like, why would somebody do that to Cam? People have been disrespecting Cam since he started in the league. Like, there's always been a segment that's been disrespectful towards him, and people are now saying, well, now it's like younger adults and kids that have been taught to be disrespectful to Cam Newton because they saw their parents do it for 10 years for no reason really, other than the way he dressed or the way he types out font on Twitter, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's little dumb stuff like that they get upset about. that he doesn't fit. He doesn't conform into the box they want him to be in. But that's why he's Cam Newton. Like
here's the biggest issue. The biggest issue is parents think that children today are just so bad and so different than what they were growing up as. Well, the biggest reason is because of you. It's the parents.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
Best friends.
And I'm not saying that every parent out there is terrible, but clearly there's a large portion that don't know how to raise their kids and teach them to give respect and show respect. Because I can tell you this, as somebody that aspired to be a pro in everything, right? Because when you're a kid, you want to be an NFL player, NBA, MLB, you want to be everything. If somebody like Cam Newton or someone of Cam Newton's stature came to my city and put on a clinic or a camp, I would have been in awe. I would have been sitting there taking everything in and be like, oh my gosh, I'm getting to learn from somebody like this.
Right.
Now it's just, oh man, my quarterback, my favorite player is better than you and all this stuff. Like, come on.
I scored 4 touchdowns in high school. What did you do, Cam Newton? Like, you ain't nothing. Like, it's stuff like that.
You are there to learn. Not how often do you get to learn from a quarterback that may or more than likely end up becoming a Hall of Fame quarterback? There's not very many opportunities for kids like that. You've got to take that for granted or not take that for granted. And the other thing is, like, I just think it all comes back to when you go to these types of things, right? It should do nothing but help you, whether it gets eyes on you as a kid or it's going to help you in areas that maybe you were struggling with before that your ordinary coach wouldn't know how to teach. It shouldn't damage you at all.
Your ordinary coach.
Right.
These two guys were so ordinary that they got extraordinary butt whooping.
Yeah, for real. And he didn't even throw a punch. That's the thing. He didn't
like
throw
that,
a punch and won.
Cam Newton, let's go back to that. Cam legitimately showcased, okay.
Why can't I? What happened? I can't hear anything.
Yeah, Stu got muted.
My
bad. Yeah,
he's cooking too. Yeah.
I was over there cooking. Boy, I was in a
Just run it back. Yeah, just run it back.
But basically, man, like, he showcased how to handle a situation without throwing hands. Because if he would have thrown hands, it could have been really bad for Cam.
Yeah.
But you want to know what? Cam is his awareness, he's got like spider senses. Like, he might be Superman, but he got a little bit of Spider-Man in him too. Because his senses of knowing the situation, knowing that there's cameras on him, but understanding I'm not going to, you going to sucker punch me? I ain't no sucker.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go. I'm going to grab you and you ain't going to be doing nothing about it. Until
it looked like that image of him and Josh Norman, the flight, like, or whatever, the skirmish.
I was right. Listen, when that happened, I sprinted downfield, tired as heck, and made sure that I grabbed Cam, because you want to know why? You got to protect some of these guys from themselves.
Yes.
Because, I'm not really sure that Cam would have actually laid his fist into a helmet, but you never know. Like, we need that throwing hand, brother. So let me go over there and do my best along with these offensive linemen. Look, it was me, offensive linemen. It was a bunch of guys trying to pull Cam off Josh Norman. And but clearly that's what happens in the heat of the moment amongst teammates. Okay. Teammates.
Yeah.
This is coaching and legend altercation that should never exist. But it exists. Why? Because social media making everybody.
I would even argue
everybody's accessible.
Mm-hmm. I would even argue as wannabe coaches. These guys aren't coaches.
They're 7-on-7 like camp coaches that he fired or something. Apparently they were working for him and he let them go and they're bitter about it. And and then he invited them to this camp and beat them. And that's what started all this. They just want
the clout. They just want the recognition. They're not in it for
now. I do know Cam Newton's one of the best trash talkers out there, but
I hope no one gives the recognition of their names. I don't even want to know these guys' names. I don't want to know their names, their team name.
They're out there.
There needs to be a way to put these guys as what not to do list.
Yeah.
Like, don't you come to 7-on-7 camps with that BS.
Don't try to somebody and I'll leave it with this. One of my friends online said, y'all really thought this man dresses like this and didn't know how to throw hands? Like seriously. On, like, think about this before y'all do this.
If you want to think about it, that hat might have been might have like some force field on it.
It didn't move. It did not move. He got hit and it did not. He was tossing dudes and rumbling. It stayed exactly in place. So shout out to Cam. Well, we didn't get a chance last time we were home. We didn't get a chance to talk about another gigantic man, Julius Peppers, who entered the Hall of Fame. First ballot, first Carolina Panther to be drafted a Panther, to be elected into the Hall of Fame, and a first ballot one at that. You've played with Pep. Talk about large men. Describe. Now, I'm a Carolina fan, so I've known Pep since college, at Carolina. And I'd never seen a dude that could play football and basketball the way that he could, because he was a contributor on the basketball team. He was on the Final Four team in 2000 and played. Actually, I want to say in the Elite Eight game, somebody found out he scored like 16 points off the bench and helped them get to the Final Four. So it wasn't just like sitting at the end of the bench. He was actually playing. And then you get to the NFL. Describe for me the first time you met Pep, like, if you can recall, like, in terms of like seeing him. Like you were talking about when you see Cam Newton. I've stood beside Julius Peppers before. He is not human. He's something else.
My rookie year, I was blessed to be around some really, like, great guys, man, legends in their own way. But Julius Peppers is a generational talent. I would even go and say he is, like, the word mighty, like, is just like grand, like just any word that you can think of in a sense of like, that's just, maybe the word is exceptional, right?
Unicorn.
Just a unicorn. Like it's when I first met him, I'm thinking to myself, first of all, why is his hand making my hand feel like a little baby? Like he's just a large person, but it's like, you see somebody that big, they're not supposed to be able to move like a running back. They're not supposed to be able to move the way he did. Just a generational talent. A guy that, came into his own. The first time I met him, he didn't really speak that much, when he was with the Carolina Panthers first time going around. He went on his stint to Chicago and Green Bay. And every now and then, I'd run across, Pep in Florida and whatnot in the off seasons. And then when he came back to Carolina, it was like this, you see a guy that went off and, went on a journey and just really tapped into his greatness over time. And one of the cool things that I like about Pep, man, is he understood his role. He understood his role to the younger guys that looked up to him. He understood that, hey, look, these younger guys are looking to me for guidance. These younger guys are looking for answers, and I can provide that to them in a way that somebody else can't. A guy that, that just walks with an aura of greatness without having to say anything, without having to prove anything. That's who Julius Peppers is, man. And it was a treat to be able to play with him. I remember my last actual game with the Carolina Panthers was the Saints game down there in New Orleans. And, I was walking out the field with Pep, and, he put his arm around me, and it was almost kind of like he knew that it was my last game. But he put his arm around me, and I was just like, man, this is a good moment for me. Because I'm walking off with one of the greatest players to ever play the game of football. And, I went and gave my cleats to, one of the Panther fans in the crowd. And so I knew that was my last game too. So it was just a special moment, special opportunity to be able to play alongside a guy like Pep and play against Pep. I'll tell you one thing, when you're preparing for a guy like Pep, you lose sleep a little bit for sure, because especially as a running back, they telling you, hey man, we're gonna need some chipping help. We're gonna need some chip help on that defensive end. I'm like, dang, man, why can't y'all do this, man? Y'all get paid a lot of money too. I don't want to be out there in harm's way. But, Pep had a way about him, man, that he understood the game. It's like, look, I could really crush you right now, but there's no need for me to do all that. I want you to have a healthy season, brother. So I'm not gonna destroy you right now because the play's all the way over there. I don't need to do all that. You live to see the next play.
I mean, if you think about it, like Stu has been a part of some really interesting teams, but has had some of the most unique teammates ever.
Yeah.
Like Julius Peppers, I mean, there's never going to be another one like him. Cam Newton, one of the best, maybe the best running quarterback of all time. Luke Kuechly, just freaking a brainiac. Like, how the heck, like, do you ever just think about that, Stu? Like, the players that you've been around and be like, damn, like.
Yeah, like I've been really blessed to be able to be around a guy like Steve Smith, who is like my big brother. And he needs to be in the Hall of Fame ASAP. Stop playing games. Luke Kuechly, the nicest guy that I've ever played with.
Is he a first ballot guy? I think he is.
I feel like he is, man.
It's gotta be. I
think he is. And we'll see how that plays out. But, guys like Greg Olson, Ryan Khalil, Jordan Gross, Thomas Davis, D'Angelo Williams, like Mike Tolbert, the dancing teddy bear, like my dog. Like, that's one of my. He's like, Mike Tolbert was my best friend playing, man. Like, and Julius Peppers, man, Musa Muhammad. Like, Musa Muhammad carried himself like wizard, man. Like, I legit looked at Moose like, man, I'm wondering why he's wearing a suit this morning. Like, does he have a business meeting to go to after work, after practice? But I learned that, Moose was a guy that was tapped in to his next phase. He was playing football and he had his business mind, his business cap on always. So, and it shouts to where he is now, which is he's a successful, businessman. But you just learn so much from all these different, guys, and it's really been a nice, treat to be able to be drafted by the Carolina Panthers during the time that I was drafted, because I came across a lot of unique individuals, great teammates, and just, guys that cared about their craft in a way that if you actually sit back and watch how they tick, you learn a lot about how you should tick, and how to, carry yourself as a professional and work on your craft and be the greatest that you can be. And, that can, really trickle down to being the best father you can be, being the best brother you can be, being the best husband, whatever it is. I had a front row seat of potentially multiple Hall of Famers to come.
Well, that's a good segue actually into our Ultimate 53. I don't think it was going to be a question about the quarterback one. As I'm pulling this up here, I need to go. Actually, it's a little bit further down.
No love for Slinging Sammy, huh?
It was, who do I have on there? I had Cam Newton, Jake. Who else did I have on there? Kerry Collins and somebody else. I'm trying to find the post. Oh, here it is. And I'll pull it up here. So we did quarterback and we did head coach. And for those that don't know, we've started the Ultimate 53. Basically, we're going to put together the Ultimate 53-man roster for the Carolina Panthers from the beginning of the franchise to today. We're even going to do coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. So we added that on here recently. But the first post was for quarterback. And Cam Newton, as you can see, won whoppingly 89.4%. Jake Delhomme, 10.1%. Kerry Collins, like he got a vote. Steve Berline was the other one I put in there because Steve Berline had a year. I think Steve Berline still has the record for most passing yards in a season for a quarterback for Carolina. I think that's why I put him in there. So
Cam Newton is obviously
that's why I put him in first.
The alpha.
He's an alpha. And he proved over the last couple of days that he is still alpha to these young coaches out here that think it's all about them. It's not about you. It's about these kids. You want to be coaches?
So Cam will be quarterback number 1 on the Ultimate 53 roster. We're taking 2 quarterbacks. So Jake the Snake, the Loam gets on there as well. Stu, you played with both quarterbacks. We talked about Cam. What was the number one thing about Jake that made players want to play with him? I kind of know, but I want to hear it from a player that actually played with him.
Man, Jake's charisma and like his passion to want to win. And, you know, being in that huddle with Jake, it was almost kind of like you had confidence because of his charisma, the way he called the plays, called the plays, you know, with his Cajun accent. You know, and just his energy and just like excitement, like, hey guys, let's focus now. Come on now, let's get it going. And so just his energy and a lot of guys are either born with it or they're not. And like for him, you know, he wore that to the T. I mean, so you know, his presence in that huddle, his leadership in the film room, in the team meeting rooms, you know, and just being able to like just be, you know, himself and not change for, you know, his position or for anybody that's asking him, you know, hey, why are you doing things this way? Like, no, I'm Jake DeLome, and this is what I know. I'm gonna play within what I know. And I'm going to throw it up there, and Steve Smith's going to come down with the ball. I'm going to hand this ball off. I'm going to make sure that the offensive line has their protections, and we're going to make this thing go. And so he was just very confident, man. And I love being around guys that are confident in what they do because it rubs off easy. And, you know, so the number one thing is charisma. And I think every quarterback has to have it in some facet. And, you know, Cam obviously, you know, establishes himself as a guy that has charisma and an aura about him that's just different than most people. And when I talk about an aura, it's just a guy walks into a room, and it can be because of his natural God-given size or just his personality that just gives off this aura that, man, I'm in the right place. And
the Dave Chappelle,
that's what
James aura.
yeah. Aura. But yeah, man. So Jake DeLome, great teammate. You know, I think the words humble, you know, strike me as, you know, the word that represents Jake DeLome as well.
With both of those guys, Cam and Jake, they're probably the 2 quarterbacks in the history of the franchise where I felt like going in every Sunday we had a chance. Like no matter who we were playing, and it was in different ways. But like with Jake, it felt like no matter what was happening in the game or what game he played, because he might go out there for 3 quarters and the ball's going all over the place. But 4th quarter, boom, 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 boom. We end up winning the game somehow. It's like, what just happened? And like with Cam, it was more of a, okay, we're coming in here with a missile. So like let's just go. We can match up with y'all. So it's 2 different type of things, but Cam and Jake both make the Ultimate 53. Let me scroll up because the other one is head coach, and this got kind of tight for a little bit. I didn't expect the vote to be as tight as it was. I guess I thought recency bias would pull it out, but for a bit it was 50-50 here. Head coach Don Capers with 5.3%. Ron Rivera is winning at 57.9. John Fox at 36.8.
That rule.
Yeah, Matt Rule pulling over here at 0. I was gonna put him or George Seifert in there, and I'm like, let's just see if somebody votes for Matt Rule.
You ain't right. You did that on purpose.
Nobody voted for him. I tried to throw him.
You knew nobody was gonna do that.
I tried to throw him a bone. So Rivera, and I'm cool with that. Actually, that was who I wanted. Rivera and Fox are almost, you played for both. So tell us what's the difference? Because it's almost like, I guess personality is the main difference between the two, because philosophy wise, it feels like they're kind of the same guy, right? Defensive minded, run the ball, don't turn it over. that old school punch in the face kind of football. It felt like both of them were about that. Rivera was on 85 Bears. You know what I mean? Like, just it's ingrained. So I would have been fine with Fox, but I do feel like there was more up and down with John Fox than Rivera. With Rivera, we won 3 straight division titles. With Fox, I think it was just up 1 year, down next year, up 1 year, down the next year. And it just got to the point where the fan base got wore out. Thoughts on these two coaches, Stu? Because you played for them both. Rivera is going to be the head coach.
I think both of them are very similar. Both are, great to play for. I loved, coming in as a rookie playing for John Fox. Down to earth, family man, a lot of energy, great energy, but didn't waste anybody's time. And like, that's one thing that I really respect about Coach Fox is, hey man, like conversations that we have, don't waste my time. Like we here to play football. So I'm gonna say hi to you in the hallway, and then we're gonna get the business. All right. So one of his sayings was, "It is what it is," and so like,
yeah,
that's so people can like look over that, but that's really the way you should live your life. We can't sit and harp on things that we need to get over. If you lose a game, it is what it is. It ain't what it ain't.
Yeah.
We lost because they were better than us. Let's move on. And so Coach Rivera was very similar, down to earth. I think the biggest difference is that Coach Rivera played the game, so he understood from the players' perspective of how we were dealing with losses, how we were dealing with family, how we were dealing with, things on and off the field, basically, right? So, and so we were able to relate a little bit better to Coach Rivera, and especially for our defense, being able to relate to Coach in a way that, he would demand the best out of our defense because he played defense. And we were ultimately, I feel like our balance as a team, our defense was strong. I mean, you talk about the Seahawks having a generational defense. I would argue that the Carolina Panthers are right there. As far as how we were built, as far as how we were being led, by Coach Rivera. And so then you add Cam Newton to the mix, and you add, our offense. And so that was a recipe that people did not want to deal with, which was, man, if we got to play the Carolina Panthers, we got to bring our hard hat and a lunch pail. And I'm not talking about the plastic lunch pail. I think that'd be hard. The
metal joints. And that's what Dan Morgan was referring to in his opening press conference. He wants to get back to that mentality, having those type of players, because you can put together a team with players on it, but you want a certain type of player to play Carolina Panther football, where the other team after the game is over is like, I'm gonna have bruises like tomorrow. Like my thighs are gonna be all jacked up, my arms gonna hurt.
You're the Panther logo.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a Panther logo on my head. Like right here. Real quick before we get out of here, and then I do have one more read because we have another sponsor that's brand new that I've never heard of before. Just going through the gallery. Of course, it's always open mailbag. Zach says Cam won a battle in a car accident, and they still decided to try to fight him. He did. He rolled a truck and played football a week later. I was trying to fight this guy. Like, let this be a lesson learned.
God's grace and mercies on Cam Newton's life, as it can be for your life. If you act right. No, I'm joking. But listen, God's grace is on Cam's life. So why are you trying this, man? You better go pray to Jesus that you find your way.
Let it be a lesson learned, y'all. Hey, M. Hull says, Des, if we deal Burns away from the team, you got to change the intro to J. Stu because we went from CMC to Moore to Burns. My God, you're absolutely right. I don't know if it's a Bleav Panthers curse. I actually thought about changing it before something happens with Burns so they don't trade him away. I probably will change this to Stu. That's the safe bet because they can't trade you now. So we're probably going to put Stu in the open because if I put Bryce Young in there or
you put me on there, they might bring me back.
just to keep the curse going. Petter Cayman says never count Jake out. Ron was never afraid to go for it on 4th down. Him also, did you add a poll for owners? No, we hadn't done that.
But if you wanted the two,
I mean,
listen. 10 years from now, we all gonna be sitting here saying to ourselves, "Man, it worked out."
Remember when we used to clown Tepper? Remember when we used
to y'all listen, y'all better chill out. Them receipts are real. Them receipts are real. Okay.
Look at this. Look at this now. Like, I didn't expect to be here. The professional says, I don't know. Stu's doing other podcasts now. I saw you doing an Oregon podcast now too for Bleav, right?
Yeah, man. So tapping into the college world, you know, then Oregon Ducks going to the Big Ten. So I'll be able to watch more games since they'll be playing some guy. I think listen, Oregon right now, like we got it. Right now, we got the best quarterback in the Big Ten. I know that.
They can make some noise. Michigan ain't going to be where Michigan's been the past couple of years with Harbaugh gone, and Ohio State
struggling. Ohio State obviously going to be, you know, a situation for us, but we got it.
Yeah,
we got it.
Check them out. What's the official name of it?
SCO. Shoot, what is it? Scoing Long. Scoing Long.
That's right. Yeah, Scoing
Long. With my boy Zach, and so. Check us out on Scoing Long.
And we'll get more into the Brian Burns situation next week. When's the deadline, Schuyler, for franchise tags? It's coming up here, isn't it?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Is it this week? Is it this week? It's sometime soon.
I don't think
it's the 3rd. So next Monday, I think it is, Monday or Tuesday. So we might be back before then. We might have an answer on what they're going to do with Brian Burns and the franchise tag. So we'll have a whole episode about Brian Burns, the free agents on our team that we want to keep, that kind of thing. We'll do all that next week, and we'll do the next 2 entries into the Ultimate 53. Before we go, though, a quick word from our new sponsor, Cut. We've got a great new sponsor. I love betting my friends and betting them on anything, sports games, who's fast. That's what Cut allows me to do. The Cut app is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's legal in 40-plus states. Cut has customizable odds, tracking capabilities, and an entire social network with group chats, user profiles, and rewards. All payments, no need for Venmo. Use the promo code. They don't have one on here. For a 10% welcome. I assume it's Bleav, BLEAV, for a 10% welcome deposit bonus. Don't forget that promo code. If that's the right one. Put your money where your mouth is. I need to talk to Bleav because this reads all over the place. I don't know what I'm buying here. So
listen, all you're doing right now is saying, hey, look, if I want to bet on anything,
come here.
Let me get that cut. I need a cut of that. I need a cut of that.
It sounds like you can bet your friends. Like if we wanted to place bets against each other, we would go to Cut and make the bet official instead of just doing it on
Schuyler
and Desmond or whatever.
Race. I bet Schuyler win.
we gotta get out of here. Shout out to everybody that stopped by today. We'll probably be back next week. Like again, the Brian Burns stuff. We got the Ultimate 53 going on. Go follow us at Bleav Panthers on Twitter so you can vote on that. The polls will be pinned at the top as we go along. We'll probably do defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator this week, and that's going to be a interesting one because I got to go digging into the crates to go back in history to some of the ones we've had in the past. So we get all that and more. Shout out to everybody that stops by to another episode of Bleav Panthers presented by Bet Online and the Bleav Podcast Networks.